for this episode of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics, I'm just going to talk about this particular Cosmic Book News article on Marvel. I haven't read any new comics. I've been reading Conan Saga, an old Marvel magazine, similar to Conan, Savage Sword of Conan magazine. So I might do a review of that. I'm in the midst of it's a 4-part story that it has in the issues I'm reading, plus comic strips of Conan. So might do a little bit on that at some point. But anyway, for now, Marvel. Now, of course, I haven't done a whole lot of reviews of any Marvel comics because I just don't read them anymore unless it's something out of continuity. Those tend to be better because they're kind of just left alone. So they don't mess it up. And most recently was just the Avengers versus Alien and Captain America versus Alien. Yeah, it doesn't really amount to anything, but encapsulated unto itself was a pretty fun read and story and all that, and the art was good. But things have been pretty bad at Marvel Comics for quite a while. It's so bad that DC is beating them. I mean, Marvel was always the industry leader, and it's been that way for well over 50 years. DC would get on their heels here and there, and DC had hit some strides, artistically speaking, with quite a few of their runs, obviously in the 80s. The 80s was the biggest decade for American comic books and superhero comic books, and other genres as well. The indie scene and stuff broke out during that time. But it all came to an end, unfortunately. But Marvel was always a step ahead, and that just hasn't been the case in a very long time. So they were bought by Disney for the MCU, and now the big boss, the new boss, is a new sheriff in town, and the idea is he's going to clean up and fix things that went wrong. And maybe. This is the sort of thing that needs to be done, but it's probably too late. And even this, any hope of restoring Marvel to its greatness, I don't think so. They might find a model for it to function, but that's probably about as good as it'll get. So anyway, Marvel Comics rocked again as Dan Buckley exits. Brad Vanderbaum takes control. So, following the exit of longtime sales boss David Gabriel and 3 Marvel editors, including Daredevil editor Devin Lewis, who just helped sell 300,000 copies of its latest relaunch, Marvel is now making a much bigger leadership change at the top. Yeah, and by today's standards, 300,000 is considered huge. That's how bad the thing is. But, yeah. So, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Marvel has promoted Brad Vanderbaum, the head of Marvel Television and Animation, to oversee Marvel Television, Animation, Comics, and Franchise. Well, that's almost the whole thing. Well, not the films, of course. Disney's David Abdo is also moving over from Disney Music Group to become General Manager of Comics and Franchise. And the addition of Franchise for both of these men is key to what the approach would be here, I suspect. And I've seen others. I think Clownfish TV and knows a hell of a lot more about this than I do, and I have to agree with their take on this, but I'll get back to that in a bit. The move means longtime Marvel Comics executive Dan Buckley is exiting the company. Buckley will remain at Marvel through mid-2027 to help with the transition. So he's got to train his successors, you know. But I'm sure he's got a great severance package, you know. Vanderbaum has been with Marvel since Iron Man and has worked his way through the Marvel Studios system. He currently oversees Marvel's live action and animated shows and has executive producer credits on projects including Loki season number 2, Hawkeye. Hawkeye, it was all right. Agatha All Along, ugh. Daredevil Born Again, no. X-Men 97, all right, yeah. And your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, oh no, you don't. You want to. That's probably even worse than Agatha All Along. I don't know. I didn't watch the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I saw the teasers for it. And I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. Did watch Agatha. Yeah. For some reason I did that. Loki season 2, but it is what it is. But out of this batch, X-Men 97 is probably the best, with Hawkeye being a distant second. But the Marvel TV efforts, they're overwhelmingly are bad. There's a few bright spots, all too few. So now Vinderbaum will also oversee the creative direction of Marvel's publishing line, along with the company's brand and franchise efforts, which is the main thing. And that's the point I was making. That's what Neon of Clownfish TV was pointing out, that this is more just brand managers, as far as restoring Marvel or getting it back on track in the production of comic books. I mean, for the longest time, things have been rumored about just outsource it. And at this point, I guess so. To who? I don't know. Robert Kirkman keeps being brought up, and maybe that would be their best bet. But as far as Marvel Comics as an entity, it's probably already gone. Yeah. It's just this zombie brand that's floating around. Yeah. So it's the situation, and they did it to themselves, but it's this weird thing where this is the IP that created the MCU. And the sad thing is, had they kept with what built Marvel Comics, the MCU would probably be it would be a lot better off than where it is. They had a good thing going, and then they burned it to the ground as well. They started going to more recent iterations, which nobody wanted, and you could see it. You could see the results. The sales were terrible, and went with it anyway. So it's been bizarre for quite a while. I guess the amazing thing is that it's lasted this long, but it has a giant sugar daddy in Disney. But even Disney is not infinite, and they have to, hey, what the hell is with this place? And then that's that. So Marvel Comics editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski will report to Vinderbaum for the moment. How long before, especially if they outsource it, then what's he good for? So Kevin Feige praised the move in a statement, thank God it wasn't me, saying Vinderbaum and Abdo will help build the next 90 years of Marvel's comic book legacy. Brad's exceptional creative leadership and David's deep experience in operations and digital innovation will be a powerful pairing as we begin building out the next 90 years of Marvel's comic book legacy. Okay, said Feige in a statement. Brad brings a proven ability to lead creative teams and craft ongoing episodic narratives that resonate with our fans around, only a handful. Only a handful. I can only see 2 out of that list. So, the Marvel Comics has not done well under Buckley for a very long time. But this is the guy you bring in. His proven track record. Not at that list. I'm not seeing it there. But anyway, while David offers a strong track record of operational excellence and strategic growth, I'm excited for what they'll be able to do together. So is David going to come in and say, well, none of this stuff works, so you got to stop that. You got to scrap all of it. And let's take a look at what did work and what's your best bet. Yeah. Maybe. But I remain dubious. So Dan Buckley has been one of the biggest names in Marvel Comics for decades. He served as publisher, president of Marvel Entertainment, and most recently, head of Marvel Comics and franchise. Feige credited Buckley for helping guide major Marvel eras and events, including Civil War and Secret Wars. That's a long time ago. It's before everything went to hell. Really, Secret Wars was the last hurrah. After that, Woke Marvel came in and has really never left. And I mean the Hickman Secret Wars, obviously, not the original and best Secret Wars that Jim Shooter did back in the 80s. But Civil War, that was a new thing of, the 21st century. So, you had that, and it did well. Then you had X-Men Age of Krakoa, another Hickman thing that he just got tired and left. Or, I think more to the point, they kind of pissed him off and he walked away from it. I don't whatever, but it ended up being, it was a disaster. It basically destroyed the X-Men as a franchise. They got a lot of work cut out for them if they want to revive that. And that seems to be the plan for MCU going forward. So, of course, it's the medium of movies, so maybe reviving the nostalgia of the original X-Men film characters in Secret Wars and Doomsday will get the buzz going, and then you get these new X-Men. Maybe, but And then the upcoming Marvel Midnight imprint, which is people got excited thinking it's going to be a revival of the Midnight Suns. No, it's just a terrible knockoff of Absolute DC. I don't know. And the company's expansion into games, TV, animation, and more. Buckley's exit marks another big change for Marvel at a time when the comic side has already been hit with leadership turnover. So say they want to do Absolute. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's Midnight. They're saying that because it's a dark take on classic Marvel characters. So Midnight X-Men, Midnight Fantastic Four, and Midnight Spider-Man. So I don't know if you'll have a monster. Well, you're going to have a monster Spider. That's what they said. He's going to turn into a spider monster. And I guess that'll be their answer to Absolute Batman, When they started off reviving their Ultimate line, which is what DC did Absolute to respond to that and beat them. It just did. The story, there was really no much of a cohesive narrative for Ultimate. It just fell apart. And then the actual Ultimate's title was god awful. I don't know. There was no thinking it through there. Absolute, on the other hand, well, at least the individual titles have their own identity and narratives to them while still existing together. So it's just top to bottom a better effort in that. Had my problems with it here and there, but yeah, it easily beats out Marvel. So Midnight Marvel, I don't know. But anyway, the timing is hard to ignore. The Hollywood Reporter notes the change comes after Marvel lost its position as the comics market share leader for the first time this century, with DC taking the top spot thanks in part to the success of its Absolute Universe line. DC has also been gaining heat with fans and retailers, while Marvel has faced criticism over its publishing direction. The comics move also follows layoffs on the Marvel Studios side. Disney recently got rid of Marvel Studios' in-house VFX team, including longtime Marvel visual development artist Andy Park. Yeah, that is saying something because he is a good visual artist, and he was responsible. I mean, this is one of his, of the look of MCU, from costumes to everything. So, and that's telling you something, Everything's fine. It's great. It's better than it's ever been. No. This doesn't happen if that's true. Put together, the changes make it look like Disney and Marvel are restructuring multiple areas at once, from comics publishing to Marvel Studios support teams. The big question now is what Feige and Vanderbaum want Marvel Comics to become. Feige added publishing to his portfolio in 2023, and the Hollywood Reporter notes many observers have been waiting to see when he would put his stamp on that side of the company. Now it looks like that moment has arrived. Well, is it? Or is it the new sheriff's in town and said, you need to clean this up? Because I'm not seeing why his position should remain safe in perpetuity. I don't think so. He's doing his Hail Mary pass with Doomsday. And he better hope for the best. And if it's And it has the potential of being a big hit for the year, and I might buy him some time. Then he's got Secret Wars, which they may or may not split into two movies. And then if he's got enough excitement there to build on, and he can do a good, maybe just okay X-Men movie with the excitement created, and that you've re-energized the market for it, maybe you can limp along and survive and become great again. I don't know. What talent do you have lined up and that sort of thing? But that's the movies. As for comics, it always comes back to the best bet would probably be to outsource it with someone who actually understands the medium. And right now, the only names tossed around for a while, Todd McFarlane, he doesn't want to do comics. But Robert Kirkman and Skybound, I'm not a fan of G.I. Joe and Transformers. I haven't read any of those, but I've heard an awful lot of glowing praise for the directions they took those series. And so maybe that's what Marvel needs. Somebody like that to deal with. And whatever parameters that Disney sets, they'll have to work within that. But and if it's just you must infuse wokeness into, well, then it's dead on arrival, of course. But just basic superhero stories, if they just did that, it'd probably go a long way. I don't think Midnight Marvel is going to. I don't think Absolute DC has to worry about that. That'll probably come and go very quickly, or maybe it'll find its niche. But it really. I mean, if it had been a revival of Midnight Suns, that would be more ballsy and stuff, but there's none of that happening anytime lately. So it has to be their main characters, X-Men, Spider-Man, and I don't know, throw Fantastic Four in there. I'm surprised they didn't do Avengers, but I'm sure they'll get them in there too, provided the line lasts long enough. So here they're like, quick, shuffle the deck chairs. That'll save the ship from sinking. Probably not, but I guess we'll see what happens here. But again, I don't see these guys with the background, especially since he's praising Brad Vanderbaum, and I'm looking at his television record, and I'm like, that's that's not too great. So good luck, Marvel. Good luck. Oh, yeah, before I go, I thought I'd look at this little collection of Andy Park's work. And you can see there's the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, designs for their outfits and everything. And you can certainly see this is how far back. He's there from the beginning, I believe, and his influence is there through what the look of the characters would be. And when it comes to something like superhero movies, well, the costumes are very important. So there you go. You got that. This from Endgame. So there's, of course, the scene of the ladies. But anyway, his designs, you see it repeated over and over that he was involved in. The Thor outfit from Love and Thunder, which was a terrible movie. But look, he was there to design what it looked like. He's not responsible for how bad the movie was. And that's the problem. He paid the price for the failures of crap movies like that. Of course, the ladies from Guardians, he did some design work on there. Ant-Man, that's a cool image for the cast and whatnot. This is from Ant-Man 2. And of course, the designs of the outfits, you see all that, there's always these lines and stuff. Well, I think that's probably primarily his influence on that. Of course, Iron Man, kind of a take on the late 80s Iron Man suit there. Ant-Man again, Nebula from Guardians. Well, I already showed that one. I guess I copied it again. Black Widow, of course. Yes. And don't know. I guess this is from either Endgame or Infinity War, one of Thanos' guys. Ultron, of course, and Civil War scene of them duking it out. More Civil War. Just, great concept art. And, of course, how they introduced Spider-Man there. And boy, Ant-Man is just they just keep bashing his face in. You know, it's not a good day for Ant-Man. Hawkeye, Loki, and there we go, all the way back to the first Avengers film. You know, and yeah, the Guardians, Guardians again. There are Guardians 2, which I actually preferred to the first one. It's usually the opposite with everybody, but Ragnarok. Oh, good Lord. Poor Black Widow, who did deserve her own movie. And if it could have been on par with Winter Soldier, that would have been cool. But she didn't get that. She got this. And lo and behold, the big surprise at the end, they gender swapped Taskmaster. So, yeah, there was really no hope at all, was there? Thor, Hela again. WandaVision, which, boy, had a lot of intriguing mystery stuff in it, and then it just fizzled and sabotaged itself. It's too bad. Yellow Jacket, Ant-Man again, some of our Avengers, of course, Black Panther, different designs of what his outfit might have looked like, I guess, and they're giving him some baggy pants and some kind of, you know, I don't know, what do you call it? Well, cultural dress, I suppose. There he gets his cape, looking quite Batmanish. Black Widow again, of course. Black Widow. Well, more White Widow there. Civil War again. Looks like, well, here you got Ant-Man on the winning side, I guess. Looks like they would have included Wasp in Civil War. But that's not how it turned out. So maybe that's concept art. You see, originally they were going to have her in there, and they decided not to. Yeah. Captain Marvel. There she is again. But it's still, you know, designs, lines. Boy, you can forget how many there were there, you know. Bunch of her, Guardians. But you see the deal of his designs. Now, some of this is reflective of Jack Kirby's designs and whatnot, of the Asgardians and everything. So it's not all just MCU, you know. Scarlet, female Thor, Hela, Ragnarok again, more Ragnarok. There's Wasp. Whatever that was, I don't have it. Thor. And we're back with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ultron again, Ultron battling Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, putting the moves on Tony Stark. Looks like Captain Marvel beaming in, beating up somebody. Zemo, Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, more Civil War, Nebula, Star-Lord, more, yes, I've seen that one, more Guardians. Oh, well, they got maybe a different take on Mantis, Star-Lord, Iron Man, the girls, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi. Well, that's kind of a better outfit almost. You know, I mean, this was all right, you know, but more Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel, Thor, and Hulk, and that's it. We end on Thor and Hulk. So there you go. But the sad thing about it is, yeah, it's like that Thor: Love and Thunder was such a terrible movie. It's like the peak idiocy of Marvel. And it kind of encapsulates the thing, which the sad thing about it is Thor: Love and Thunder actually had a great plot and handled right. It would have been a really good movie. Yeah, it was too dark of a story to just choke it out with silly gags every 5 seconds. And it was just a movie that utterly disrespected itself. Yeah. But there's plenty of that in Marvel, but never quite that concentrated. Not even She-Hulk, not really. I mean, She-Hulk was bad, don't get me wrong. It was pretty awful. But maybe because it was Thor and you'd already established him and everything, and then you do that. And it wasn't so much Thor himself. It was just the entire orchestration of the world that movie presented. And, geez, So then it all starts to fall apart and collapse. And you got a guy who did work like this. Well, love you, Andy, but you got to go, And my guess is he'll have to be a contractor and a freelance artist, and maybe they'll give him work that way. One can hope, I suppose. But as far as the guaranteed job and position that once was, it is no more. And such are the consequences of the foolishness that wasn't his fault at all. But that's what happens. Anyway, there you go. Marvel.